Episode 3 of Dutton Ranch doesn't end with a massive gunfight or some shocking death scene. Instead, it ends with something far more terrifying for Beth and Rip, the realization that their ranch may already be collapsing from the inside out. And the center of all that fear comes down to the cows. Because what happened to the herd in this episode isn't just a small ranch problem. It's potentially the beginning of a financial and emotional disaster that could destroy everything Beth and Rip came to Texas to build. The episode slowly builds this tension from the very beginning. At first, things actually seem peaceful. Rip is out riding with the herd, moving cattle across the land, doing the kind of work he genuinely loves. For a brief moment, you can almost believe this new life in Texas is finally giving him peace after everything that happened in Yellowstone. But then Sheridan flips the entire tone of the episode with one sick cow. Rip notices that one of the cattle is behaving strangely. The animal is weak, struggling, and clearly in pain. And what makes the scene feel so realistic is how calm Rip initially reacts. He's not panicking yet because ranchers deal with sick animals all the time. But the moment Everett arrives and examines the cow more closely, everything changes. The diagnosis is hoof-and-mouth disease, or foot-and-mouth disease, and that's where the real horror begins. Now, the show doesn't fully explain how dangerous this disease actually is, but in the ranching world, it's catastrophic. This isn't like one cow catching a cold. Foot-and-mouth disease spreads incredibly fast between livestock. It infects cattle through direct contact, contaminated equipment, water, feeding areas, and even the air in some situations. That means the second one infected cow appears inside the herd, every single animal becomes a potential risk. And Rip immediately understands the nightmare they're facing. That's why he puts the first cow down almost instantly. At first glance, that scene might look cruel or shocking to some viewers. But Rip isn't killing the animal out of anger or convenience. He's doing it because the cow is already suffering, and because leaving it alive risks infecting the entire ranch even faster. The moment Rip pulls that trigger, the episode completely changes. Because now the Dutton Ranch isn't fighting competitors anymore. They're fighting time. Rip and Everett immediately begin discussing quarantine procedures because they know what's at stake. If the disease spreads across the herd, the ranch could lose almost all of its cattle. And for Beth and Rip, cattle aren't just animals emotionally. They are the business itself. No cattle means no beef. No beef means no contracts. No contracts means no ranch. And the timing, honestly, couldn't be worse. At the exact same time Rip is discovering the disease, Beth is in Dallas trying to secure major business deals for Dutton beef. She's finally making progress getting luxury hotels and restaurants interested in their product. For the first time since arriving in Texas, it feels like the ranch might actually become successful financially. But the disease changes everything. Because even if only part of the herd becomes infected, the reputation damage alone could destroy the business before it even properly begins. That's the detail the episode quietly keeps emphasizing. In the cattle industry, perception matters almost as much as reality. If word spreads that Dutton Ranch has foot-and-mouth disease, buyers won't care whether the outbreak was controlled or not. Most businesses would avoid buying from them entirely out of fear and liability. So now Beth and Rip are trapped in a terrifying situation. They need the ranch to stay operational, but they also need to keep the outbreak quiet long enough to stop total panic. And then comes the ending scene that changes everything again. Earlier in the episode, Rip still has hope that the infection might have been isolated to one cow. Dangerous, yes, but maybe manageable. But when Beth returns home from Dallas, she finds Rip standing silently in the field, staring at another infected animal. That moment is absolutely devastating because it confirms the disease is spreading. And Sheridan doesn't over-explain it. Beth doesn't ask questions. Rip barely speaks. She simply sees the cow and instantly understands the truth. The herd is no longer safe. That silent realization between them might honestly be one of the strongest scenes in the episode because it tells us everything without dialogue. Beth knows the business deal she just fought for could already be worthless. Rip knows all his quarantine efforts may already be too late. And the terrifying part is that foot-and-mouth disease spreads faster than symptoms appear. That means there are probably already more infected cows inside the herd that just haven't visibly shown signs yet, which makes the ending even darker. Because Rip and Beth are basically standing there realizing they may already be losing the ranch in real time. What makes this storyline work so well emotionally is that Sheridan turns the cows into something symbolic. The herd represents the future Beth and Rip are trying to build together. Texas was supposed to be their second chance after Yellowstone ended. The ranch was supposed to be freedom. Now that future is becoming infected before it even fully begins. And there's another detail I think the show is quietly setting up for later. Earlier in the season, Rip saved a young calf during the wildfire sequence. At the time, it felt like a hopeful moment, almost symbolic of survival and new beginnings. But after episode 3, I honestly think that scene may have been foreshadowing something tragic. I think there's a strong chance that calf eventually becomes infected too. And if that happens, it won't just be about losing livestock. It'll symbolically represent Rip losing the future he fought so hard to protect. That's what makes the cattle storyline so powerful. On the surface, it's about disease. But underneath it, it's really about fear, survival, and the possibility that Beth and Rip may never truly escape tragedy no matter where they go. Even in Texas, the Duttons still can't outrun disaster. And that's what makes episode 3 one of the most important episodes Dutton Ranch has released so far. Not because of explosions or massive action scenes, but because this is the moment where everything quietly starts falling apart. By the end of the episode, Beth and Rip are standing in the middle of a ranch that may already be infected beyond saving. The cattle disease isn't just threatening their business, it's threatening their entire future in Texas. Every deal Beth fought to secure could disappear overnight if word gets out, and Rip already knows that once fear spreads through the ranching world, it spreads almost as fast as the disease itself. At the same time, Carter is slowly becoming the exact kind of man Rip once was. Emotional, reckless, and willing to walk straight into danger for someone he cares about. But unlike Yellowstone, there's nobody here protecting him from the consequences yet. And with Oreana tied directly to Beulah's family, that relationship feels less like romance and more like the beginning of another war. Then there's Rip himself, carrying the weight of Wes's death, the infected herd, and the pressure of trying to hold this ranch together before everything collapses. Because the truth is, Rip can survive violence, he can survive enemies. But this situation is different. You can't intimidate disease. You can't fight it in a fist fight. And for maybe the first time in a long time, Rip looks genuinely powerless. That final shot of Beth silently realizing the herd is infected says everything. No screaming, no panic. Just two people understanding that the dream they built together may already be dying in front of them. And honestly, that's why Dutton Ranch works so well right now. It doesn't feel like a simple spinoff. It feels like Yellowstone never truly ended. The same pain, the same violence, and the same cycle of survival followed the Duttons all the way to Texas. But let me know what you think is going to happen next. Do you think Rip can still save the herd? Or is the ranch already doomed? And do you think Carter and Oreana's relationship will unite these families or completely destroy them? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss my weekly Dutton Ranch ending explained videos, Yellowstone universe theories, and deep breakdowns every single week. And as always, thanks for watching.